Friends, hello, my loves. How are you doing? Don't, you know what? It's going to be what it is. I've decided as far as it comes with getting bookings and readings done today is like, if stuff don't want to start, it don't start, y'all. I don't know. We have found a different, better mouse. The technology, things continue. So funny. Somebody was like, wow, something's not even a retrograde. But I thought to myself, child, do you know everything else that is? But listen, not the point, right? I felt like tapping in with you guys. I feel I feel this vibration almost. I think everybody's starting to kind of embrace the piece of oh, I don't know. It's this energy of like, oh, everybody's really just going to act this crazy. And then a lot of us who have kind of done the work, we've healed through a lot of stuff where we would find that super triggering. Well, I don't know. We're just kind of over it. It's very over it. And I love that for us. I love a good detachment. It is not heartless. I mean, but look, it can be at this point if it needs to be. But I don't know. I just wanted to check in with you guys. I was doing my normal gym routine. And sometimes I'll just, if I'm doing cardio or I'm doing something, you know, and you're in a routine, your mind, it's almost like automatic writing for me, especially with like walking, jogging. It's kind of like a metronome and the tick, tick, tick and the pat, 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 right? And, oh, there she goes. She gonna come on today. Look at you, friend. Look at you. Sorry. My, my toner is still not here, but y'all, you know what? It's one little thing at a time. And I love this energy for us. It's almost like Libra season wants us to be like, honey, just, just chill. Just chill out. What is a day? What is an hour? There's something about tick, 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 tock, tock, like the clock has been reset. But you know what? I felt so overwhelmingly when I was jogging, getting ready to get into like whatever, you know, the stuff that I be doing at the gym. Okay. And this, it's such an overwhelmingly loud message. And I was like, let me tap in with my friends. I know all of us are in different places. You know what I mean? And all of us can share wisdom of, even if we're not in a said cycle right now with all of this collective energy. I'm sorry, y'all, if you hear my dog's heavy panting. Let me put my notebook over here. The thing about it is, where do we want to go, Spirit? Hold on. I'm feeling called to my Oracle decks and stuff today. Maybe we're just going to share cards. You know, we love to get into it and encourage each other over here. As a family. So if you happen to find yourself here, subscribe and be a part of our soul family. I'm not going to go into the whole thing. I don't do this as a monetization venture. It's for our soul family and our collective, because everyone's going to find their collective, because the dogma of religious things, all of these things are dying that we used to kind of plug into to feel safety and security. And maybe you never did. If you didn't, I love that for you. I love that your mind wasn't programmed with a bunch of PTSD. Shout out to your parents, hey, or you, right? But you know, I will always say, it's very Aquarius over here. We love our collective. We love our community and our gang. I have a lot of Aquarius energy, and this is the age of Aquarius. And an Aquarius will tell you who you connect with, who encourages you, who speaks into your mind, who's a sounding board, who helps you reframe your thought patterns for the day. And I'm not trying to say you need someone to do that for you. You don't. But hey, hear me out though. Look, actually, hear me out. Sometimes you might be in a funk. You might be in a sticky, icky place, and it helps, as it did help me when I was going through a lot of dark nights. It helped me a lot to tap in and just listen to someone. What am I doing? Am I walking? Have I done my 4th hourly reset for the day because I'm trying to reprogram my mind and my mind done went back to some things? You know what I'm saying? So here we are. Oh, I'm just saying. I think that a lot of people in this Libra season, what I was hearing in an overwhelming way is just that a lot of people are saying goodbye to things. You know what I mean? Things that have been around a long time, especially after the way that Saturn is moving. Spirit said, you get the technology today. You don't get the lighter I was joking talking about. I just need to stop and grab some more or order some. He said, I'm tired. I know, I bet you are, friend. I bet you are. You know what we'll do? We'll diffuse a little, this is made out of lava stone anyway, so it'll diffuse. Camphor, though, is really, really strong. Very, very purifying and cleansing. I'm dropping some. I have like a little disc back here that I like to put oils on. Camphor is great. I've been using a lot of lemongrass too, but you know I love me some lemongrass anyway. So we're always holding space here for energetic guidance, our spiritual team, our ancestors, both galactic and earthbound, us with our higher self and different dimensionalities. We're always holding space here for energetic frequencies, for activations, for lessons, wisdom, right? For readings and messages that are in service of the highest and best good of all and harming none. Okay, and so it is. You know what I mean? We gotta set the tone. Libra season. I was just tapped in on some energy that was very like, it's really hard to just let things go and just let things go. I know that it is. I know that it is. And even when I don't know why I'm hearing like, even if you have a game plan, even if you have a strategy, sometimes it's good. Saturn in Pisces retrograde, right? There's a reflection. Oh, I just realized that I left that window open because I was burning a lot of like sage and clearing herbs. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Because inevitably, if we get into it, which we will, because we're going to share some space together, we're in a lot of unknowns collectively. But I'm going to shut this window because something will spark the dogs, and then we're going to be barking in your ear. Hold on. One moment. I heard, wait a minute. Okay. I think I left my conscience in the 5th dimension. I don't really know all the words. I'm so sorry. Aw, I stepped on her tail. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, we're in a lot of unknown energy. And I know that, and it is good and wise. And when you're in places and it's like, I know it's time for this to go. Everybody likes to show, it's really like an activated masculine energy. And I get it. Like, I totally do get it. I think we might pull from there too. I get the vibes. But sometimes it's important to, this also really makes me think of Jupiter in Cancer. This really does, like the wisdom in what you're feeling. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Jupiter is speaking to us today. I feel that because I think a lot of us, we feel this whole, well, I'm stuck here processing like the emotional debris. And absolutely, it's a chance to be honest with yourself. It's a chance to ask yourself a lot of questions that ideally, if you're doing it right, what's right? Shall we say, yeah, Spirit, what is right? How about if you're doing it in a way that's really authentic? And only you know that with you at the end of the day. Okay, again, even I will shout out because it's been a very activating season for cardinal and mutable signs. Jupiter in Cancer, you may feel that very activating if you are, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, but everyone is being called to be honest with themselves. And I love for us, if we're raw, if we're honest with ourselves, and we say, where does this, when you feel that, well, now I'm left with all this. And that's even if you had a killer plan, if you nailed that Virgo energy, even if you cleaned out all the closets, you know what I'm saying, mentally, spiritually, literally in your house, maybe you did all the cleanses for your body. I'll tell you what, I relate to this because sometimes, not some, I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. This is my perspective, you know what I mean? And you're allowed to differ, and I still love you anyway. Ooh, how about that? Imagine all the people, right? Yeah, maturity. Wow. Listen, my perspective is like not just being an Aquarius, but having like many huge Aquarian placements, okay? But this is the age of Aquarius. This is Pluto in Aquarius, and you will learn lessons, Aquarian frequencies. Your Aquarian friends will teach you, okay? And a lot of times, because of this is such a time that is just beginning to really unfold for us over the next 2 decades, especially. I need you to understand, you're like, shit, 2 decades. But Pluto in Aquarius is just the opening gateway. You are entering kind of through the transitory realms of all the things. Spirit says it like, of all the things that must die. You kind of go through these portals, right? Persephone and Hades. You could insert a lot of different storylines there in different mythologies and cultures, but you understand the energy. Kali, this initiation type of energy of like, we got to get, the only way out is through. So we got to lay the foundations to the age of Aquarius, which will be the next golden age. And it's very beautiful. There's so many exciting things. There's always going to be shadow and light. There will always be duality in this, realm of learning and earth school that we incarnate into by free will of choice, mind you, to collect our powers and wisdoms. Yes. Okay. But this is what I'm saying to you. A lot of times Aquarius, I feel like we get slingshotted way ahead. By the time we were 5, damn, man, fuck me. When we're born, and I'm telling you, I have Aquarian friends. You're like, really? Aquarius, we talking to each other? We do. Okay. Thank you very much. It's just the nature of incarnating with certain contracts of energy. Shout out to these friends and that friends and these elementals and these people. And no, you're not only that, but look, you on an astrology channel. I'll come over here talking about, wow, you just think everybody, but you on an astrology channel. Take several seats. Love and light. Aquarius, I feel like sometimes we get slingshotted like way ahead and we go through things. But it is because we need to go ahead and go on ahead of y'all, right? We're going to get slingshotted to the front of the line. We're going to swim through the muck. We're going to go ahead and go over here and bring that lotus up out of that dirt for you and kind of light that beacon and say, hey, that's what we do. You see us on the star card. You don't think we didn't get born just like, no, we had to earn that shit. We had to earn that shit. And it's very challenging. So I feel that, myself, for example, I can look back and see notable dark nights of the soul that led me up, most recently in the fall of 2020, but a lot of challenges of growth, but a lot of wisdom gained. And so I can kind of look and see my friends. I can see people that are really just, how do we say, the best word is waking up, awakening. I know there's a lot of pop culture, whatever, derogatory. I don't really care. That's the only way to really say it, like coming out of a slumber. There's a lot of people also. I look back over the chapters of my life, friends, and think about, it's almost like a vagabond type of spirit. You feel what I'm saying? Like the dark nights of the soul, the things that I thought would be this and they weren't this, and they torrentially got burned down and died and sometimes crashed and burned, and I had to crawl out of the rubbish. And I don't know why I said rubbish. I meant to say rubble. I don't even say that word. Maybe that's a nod to Rubbage, someone in some Britain, I don't know, maybe that's a confirmation for someone. Britain, London, I'm seeing I don't know what that bridge is called. I have friends that live there. I'm seeing London, I'm seeing big libraries now. I don't know, maybe I'm giving, confirmation points for some people. Maybe you traveled there. Maybe you had a spirit guy, ancestor, whatever the case may be. But listen, I know that it's really fucking hard. And even if maybe you're like, well, I had the plan. Maybe you nailed it. Maybe you executed that plan and you came out of the other side of this eclipse portal on the back of these years of groupings of, especially markedly from, you know how we broke it down if you're new here, from 2012 to 2018, or you could say from 2012 to 2016, 2016 to 2020, 2020 leading us up to 24, and then boom, we came into this year. We have many ways of looking at cycles. You take it as you will in your own personal journey. But what I'm saying is I feel in the collective Libra season, of course, as it is, you imagine scales balancing. It's only natural. You're going to see a lot of kind of karma being served off the books hot. This was what I was tapped into when I was jogging. And naturally, air signs, Aquarian people, and the like, we tend to be very observant of pattern recognition. We sit back, especially Aquarius. We may not be speaking on everything. We see everything, though. You're entering the age of Aquarius. Think about that. That's wisdom of learning how to detach from the emotions that you're feeling in a very overwhelming way sometimes. And just observe the patterns, see it for what it is. This keeps coming through in different ways. I'm seeing that now. And I feel like it's just a message of encouragement. You come over here, I'm going to love on you and encourage you. I'm going to tell you, friend, it's going to fucking be all right, because it is. Because look at your track record. But I think Jupiter in Cancer is kind of staying like a big balmy mother with her arms around us. Imagine her, imagine the moon, imagine the ocean. There's something about allowing the waters inside you to just be calm, because like I said, we are going to find ourselves in this place. And I feel, and it's understandable, I'm tapped into something that's like, that's just fucking not fair. And it really is not. But ultimately, I need you to understand that it is so fair in a way you could never imagine, because you don't see everything. I could come in here really egotistical and like a shadow masculine energy and be triggered by the people that have triggered me and be like, oh, and say all these things. But the ultimate reality, and again, I feel this is very Jupiter speaking, right? The ultimate reality, is that you're going to just witness karma ripping off masks off people's face repeatedly until they see themselves. But also, let me tell you something about energy. Does not die. It doesn't leave. It always changes forms. And the way that the law of one and hermetics and all of these different things that people think they're overriding or hacking or doing spell work on, they're not. Love and light. Bless their souls. You know what I mean? The biggest catalyst for expansion is when you're sitting in a place where you have an opportunity to discover yourself, right? Very Jupiter. And you can say that you can understand. It's almost like I know that, okay, let me go back. Spirit says, go back to karma, okay? The way that energy must always change forms, the law of one and a lot of these hermetic things and a lot of all the things, right? Things must balance out. And here it is that karma must play all the way out. Yes, we do shift into timelines where we all evolve more into a dharmic place in our life. We do. A lot of people are not there. And then a lot of times we'll be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm sitting here over and over again on my journey of self-discovery and of going through my dark nights of the soul, which really do teach you who the fuck you are. They so do, man. They really, really do. North Node in Pisces is going to keep leading you like a bright star beyond the veil of illusion and saying, the thing that I want you to understand, right? Very Jupiter in Cancer as well, is your wisdom, your generous heart, right? Your ability to offer gratitude and see abundance no matter where you look. You will grow. I'm going to continue to press this home, is that Saturn is not for nothing retrograding back through Pisces after completing his journey around the wheel, right? When I say wheel, I mean zodiac, right? Okay. 29 and a half years, dipping back in and saying, I gotta, you guys, I gotta collect on everything. I have to collect it all. And when we sit in a year of 9 and we pass through something so powerful as a 999 portal, and we have these types of astrology, which is ultimately just learning how to read the energetics of the room, so to speak, of the collective room. You understand what I'm saying? It's like I'm hearing all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put him back together again. There's so many things and so many levels you can look at it in a political way. You can look at it in religious karma. You can look at the karma through many lenses. And you can understand when you have that kind of a sinking feeling, you know, it's in the evening, the day is done. Sometimes we have a tendency, and it is very base level. It is very third dimensional, fourth dimensional. And I understand. I'm not shaming that, because we have to go through those dimensions and alchemize before we continue to evolve. You feel what I'm saying? And when you're deepening in the knowing of yourself and the beautiful emotional honesty of who you are, which is very wise, and that's the goal. We look out in the collective, we're going to see all these narratives playing out to their end. I find it really unfortunate to see people who have a chance to act one way, but then choose the patterns that were first the aggressors or the oppressors, and then act on those patterns, which then pushes their own wheel of karma farther out, because they could have chosen differently. They could have been more wise. What's that whole phrasing like, oh, I'm going to be petty, kick. Oh, I'll be there. I feel for that, you know, and do I understand where it comes from? Yeah, I'm going to tell you straight up. I've never sat in a seat, because I understand how energy works. Just like my personal choice, I don't do spell work, but, you know, we could have a whole other conversation about that. Just, you know, be super mindful when you're watching how things play out, and know at the end of the day, when you choose to reparent yourself, that's wisdom collected in your dharma. When you choose to see someone else's mask ripped off and instead play a mirror bouncing game, tack, 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 tit for tat, don't push your karmic wheel. There's some sort of comfort here of Jupiter and Cancer. Maybe you imagine her like a beautiful goddess, right? Associated with water. Maybe you see something like Guan Yin, or you may resonate with whatever archetype is appropriate for you. I would be mindful. I would even say Spirit is bringing up this energy of understanding there's like a lot of witch wounds. There's a lot of mother wounds. We could make a list of wounds. When wounds come up, the wisdom and the expansion here and the benevolence of blessing that carries you higher and higher into a fifth dimensional tier of frequency is that you begin to understand, you see the wound outside of acting on it. And I'm sorry, that's the dog in the background. And this is the spiritual lens, so to speak, that we're all really kind of growing into, maturing. You know what I'm saying? I need you to understand, though, everyone is not a lot of people. And you're even teetering, if you want to speak about energetics and dimensionalities, when you get to the higher tier of like a fourth dimensional understanding, there's still a lot of polarity there. Maybe you're peeping up and you're standing up here, and Spirit is encouraging you, your higher self, your guides, right? The energetics of the beautiful evolution of collective energy is saying, get up here more fifth dimensional with us. Get up here. It's hard. You know what I mean? And we all have those moments, because you're living in a human vessel, which has a lot of raw emotions, karmic debris. That has so many things going on, right? I'll say this as a side note, though. Astrologically, I love that Jupiter was in Gemini first. And now Jupiter is in Cancer because it's almost like we needed a bunch of knowledge. Remember last year we talked a lot about like those what was it, antennas coming out. We're developing these new abilities because we're going to need that. Because ooh-wee, for a little minute here, guys, we're going to see a lot of things play out. And Uranus is in Gemini, Pluto's in Aquarius. You understand? This is not Pluto in a Capricorn time. This is fast moving, fast moving. Oh, we're going to try this. Boom, didn't work. Shifting here. Timeline's dying. Boom. Blah, you know what I mean? So it's going to be important to understand how to regulate your emotional intelligence, understand things through a spiritual lens, be very detached and compassion, know who the fuck you are and self-awareness, okay? Know what's going on in your inner world, okay? Knowledge and wisdom which comes from within. You understand what I'm saying? Self-awareness, okay? Jupiter in Cancer is very, very, very open your heart and, be self-aware. Is like a fertility, how would we say, spirit that grows from the heart. It does not, when you're sitting, let's go back to the beginning of what I felt when I was jogging and warm, I felt this whole, it was just an anguish of pain. And that's grief. It's okay. We have to process that. Maybe we write it and burn it. Maybe we go out and we find a release, or we have a ritual, or we set an intention that each time I jog and I sweat in this physical, it depends. Honestly, if you need some help, please email me. I would love to book a reading. I would love to talk about your North and South node, your Chiron, your Jupiter. Maybe we can look at your Mars and say, what's a healthy way to deal with things that I'm feeling? I'm here for you. You know what I'm saying? Or check out my Facebook business page. Get in touch with me. We can set up a reading. However, it's something about growing and deepening within yourself and understanding. You're going to have a lot of these moments, okay? And I think Libra season is just going to show us, and we're going to be thinking, why aren't they? I don't know. I'm seeing people, it's like pointing the finger. Why would they? It's not fair. It's why. You know what I mean? I'm hearing that reel. It's from a movie, and I don't remember the movie, but I've seen people reshare it a lot, and she's screaming, crying. Is it the Marilyn Monroe movie? You know what I'm talking about? That scream of anguish. I hear that. I feel that. And yes, there's something to be said for, well, I need to give voice to some of these emotions that I was left with. I need to get that out of my core. Yes, you do. There's a lot of different healthy outlets to do that. I encourage that. And sometimes even talking to someone through readings or through therapy or through coaching, EMDR, there's a lot of different things to do, right? And sometimes you need a good holding space with someone that can listen and help you alchemize, okay, right? Again, there's a lot of different avenues for you to deal with this. But I think in wisdom, it's so important for us to be able to see Saturn has to collect on all the tabs. Okay, but to be honest, so does Pluto. You know what I'm saying? Pluto closed out working in Capricorn and officially moved into Aquarius. Pluto still has a lot of tabs to collect and close on and to shift on through. What is that? Some on through to the other side. I'm hearing. And now I'm looking up again. You guys, I got to share a picture of this, of the guy on his little canoe up here. He's just some all through to the other side. Maybe he left these cabins that are over here and he's going on through. He got a little tent over here. He said, fuck it. I'm going over here to the tent. We're going to a new place. Maybe it's over this mountain range and he feels like the sun's back there behind him and all that's leading him forward, which would make sense. We are now moving to where each day will have less light. And we'll be okay. Please understand, Spirit, help. How do we say? Spirit is taking me back to that reference from the other day, you guys. And we don't want to, it's not wise, nor is it a healthy emotional pattern because it's not going to lead you to anywhere whole. Eventually you have to stop doing this. Spirit says it's like looking for something to celebrate the downfall of your oppressor, of your aggressor. But I understand, I know we've got to move through waves, and that's a higher fifth dimensional place. And it doesn't mean you have to go in there with the hand that bit the, I don't know, if you're in a situation where you're manipulated, abused, in danger, unhealthy, etc., no, we don't go in those places and be like, I'll just sit with a tiger and understand why he needs to eat my, you know what I'm saying? That's not it. But I'm saying detach. But in wisdom and understanding, right, you see, like, okay, if somebody's been cheated on so many times, and now you can sadly see that the person pulled them down to their level, and now they're acting like their aggressor and oppressor was, and da 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 da, and how that unfortunately begets more karmic cycles. And oh, how is that affecting? Imagine the children watching these people, or there's so many different scenarios, you know. There's also this energy that I'm tapped into with Saturn. Again, Saturn, I'm seeing Saturn's got to collect all the receipts. Do you know what I mean? Again, FBI agent is going to sit in an undercover spot for 10, 15. Can you do one more year? Because look, if we do one more year in this energy, we're going to pull all this down with it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you wouldn't go for, what the fuck? How do we say? If you could hold, why am I seeing Samson? Why am I seeing holding the temple? If you could hold it, knowing that at that perfect moment, Saturn's going to pull that last pillar down so that none of it can get back up again, you would hold it. And Spirit would not have us incarnated as we are Spirit. We would not have incarnated and chosen the wisdom beyond the veil, right? In the Akash, we wouldn't have chose to be in these positions. We will be okay. And I know that it's just so hard when you sit in those dark nights of the soul moments, or you sit and you know that they owed you whatever, that feeling, they owed me. The universe doesn't forget things like that. But honestly, I think there is some root and shadow here. Again, sitting with the wisdom of, why do I feel this way? Let's take it back to the root. That provides a wonderful, reflective, like emotional healing moment for you. And because you're looking for it, that's a beautiful thing, but it does leave you sitting with baggage. This is when we make the choice. Am I going to alchemize this, or am I going to turn it into ammunition? Am I going to alchemize this? Am I going to turn it into ammunition? Right? And we all find ourselves at different places. I understand. The universe is not going to let anyone live outside the laws, so to speak, is how I hear it, is how Saturn is saying. And in a 9-year, right, where we were in preparation to go to a 10-year, which is a 1, right? And then Saturn, like we've said, will officially sit back into more permanent way into Aries. And a lot of other things will follow as well. We could review all those. But I'm just saying, the wisdom and the maturity that's not comfortable, that everyone doesn't want to say, is, suppose we rip off all their masks and they still don't do anything to heal. What does that, are you still going to let that dictate what you do? Because then aren't you still corded to them? That's uncomfortable, I know. Can you sit with that? If you keep doing, let's say, burning detachment rituals, cord cutting, if you're doing all this or doing all these meditations, whatever the case is, but if you're still in the narrative with them, or with that party, or with that, if you're still waiting and looking at, you're tethering, do you feel what I'm saying? You're tethering yourself back to them, and then they still have the ability to kind of pull you wherever. This is kind of how I see it. I think Spirit and our ancestors and team are wanting us to see, like, there's a huge, it's kind of giving, like, well, someone has to step forward and kind of start the mess cleanup. And then somebody's like, well, that's not fair. Okay, I'm so sorry. I really am. I really am, because I understand it, but you need to understand and choose if you want to. The mature level is that it was never about it being fair, right? Because people have free will. There's something about honoring yourself here, getting some sort of grasp around, honey, you're going to get paid back in new dimensionalities of new possibilities and new perspectives and beautiful energy that you never could have even understood. Everything is an opportunity for you to adapt. That's actually very, Jupiter was in Gemini and now Uranus is in Gemini. Move forward. There's a big encouragement. If you need to grieve, there are modalities to do that. But the longer that you dwell into There's something about just letting other things bring you back down to a certain level that you work so hard to grow out of, okay? Again, this is for some, it's like I'm just waking up to releasing a relationship, a job, a past pattern, friend groups. I thought, you know what I mean? The vibe. I thought I was going to be doing that forever. I thought I was going to live here forever. I thought they were going to be my best friend forever. Whatever the case may be, because it is jarring right now as the timelines continue to separate and then convergence occurs and things are falling away. But I want you to see how, and I love this for us so much. I want you to see how, like, next year has this beautiful potential. If you want to put it as a cap on a year, we could say forthcoming cycles, right? It all depends on how you choose your perspective. A spirit is now bringing me, now I'm seeing it as like, you're choosing what you tether to energetically. And when you can really get into that and feel into that and understand the power of that, that's when you get real Aquarius with it. That's when you really understand that, damn, it's a shame to see him acting like that. You know what I mean? I literally would never stoop down to a certain level. There's something about, because I feel like it's like a catalyst energy right now, which could catapult a lot of people, but it could also really drag a lot of people back down. And that's unfortunate. It's kind of like, again, remember how we kept channeling that message, separating the wheat from the, well, I mean, we're still in harvest season, right? Separating the wheat from the chaff. A lot of times, you know what? Love and light, people just don't really be saying, like, you get left with the debris because you incarnated and you knew that you could alchemize it. And people hate to hear that, but that's just the truth of it. It really is. And the universe has you the whole time. And plot twist, in 3 to 6 months, you have no idea what might be unfolding that you may be privy to see or not see. The question that Spirit is asking you here to sit with when you're in this uncomfortable space, when you know that it was wrong as fuck, when you know that you were owed, but I don't know, Spirit wants to press in on that maybe mindset of shifting that you think you're owed into maybe, I know that I am going to receive so much because of how I'm alchemizing this into wisdom and for my betterment. Because I know that when Spirit puts me in places, the way that I move in pain, the way that I move in suffering. Now, am I saying that a soul should kind of damn itself to repeat these cycles? No, that's like dogma. That's getting real religious. That's getting into some crazy, like, fled yourself to be good enough shit. We don't do that. We rebuke that shit over here. We don't live in that age anymore. But what I'm talking about is, yes, ideally, we're going to continue to ascend to different dimensionalities where the incarnation of what it means to be human is that we don't choose that we have to learn that way anymore. But child, what I'm trying to say is we're going to have to hold hands real tight. We're going to have to hold the line. We're going to have to stamp our wands and stamp our staffs and stamp our, hell, I don't know, crystals down and hold that grid. Hold that grid for what we want to see. It's so tough. And friend, he, she, them, they, we love everybody over here. And you know, when I say bitch, that's a term of endearment. But listen, there's always people that are called to run up ahead and they hold it down by themselves because they believe in what it is that there's always in any career, in any field, in a medical endeavor, in a scientific, you put it in different scenarios and think about it. Sometimes we damn ourselves, love and light. I do hate to say it. Sometimes we pin ourselves longer than needed in certain cycles, in certain things, because we're still choosing to look for the place where it wasn't fair, or I felt like I was owed that I didn't get, when really you can shift your perspective. There's something here that to access that deep wisdom in these dark nights is to shift the perspective. Okay, there's something about not sitting in doubt, not sitting in fear. You know what I mean? Not sitting in what you were owed. Because here's what Spirit also wants to highlight here. I'm tapped into something that's like, Spirit wants to highlight that there's a lot of fourth dimensionality playing out as well, which is very, very polar, very evil, good, dark, bad, you owed me, I'll get you back, lots of wounds, spell casting wounds, witch wounds. And I'm not saying witchcraft, I'm not saying that's a wound. Understanding the witch wound has to do with like when you understand you're a channel and a vessel for power and you're connected to all the energetics of earth and you resonate that. It's a matter of what you decide to do with it after that. Okay. And that's my perspective. But, and child, I done been through a lot of different perspectives too. So I'm going to tell you. Again, I honestly think also is going back to attachment. Where are you searching? Ultimately, when you point your finger outside of yourself and you say they owed me, aren't you searching for validation? But internally would be more like, how do we say, internally would be, I understand that I'm connected to the oneness, the vastness of all that is. I understand that I'm choosing to be more mature and walk in my North Node path and walk in my path of Dharma. And because I choose to walk that way, I detach. I allow things to die because sometimes you engaging with even what you thought they owed, it's a tit for tat type of I'll get them, I'll show them vibration. Sometimes you're giving that more energy. Okay, that's almost like being in therapy and understanding how to stonewall the narcissist type vibes. You know what I'm saying? That's what it makes me think of. So, anyway, what do we have? Listen, the great teacher, learn from spiritual experiences, and I be damned if that ain't what we've been sitting here talking about, okay? Look at that. Let's read, Spirit. It's a beautiful dove. Forgiveness doesn't look at the flower of life grid. A lot of times when I meditate, I feel called to explain. When I need to transmute heavy energy, I run the light from my head down to my feet, and I imagine this grid being below me like a filter. And I ask that all that doesn't serve me be returned to the earth. And I almost imagine this, literally, the flower of life back here. This makes me think of the Ace of Cups, right? The universe is, you can be washed pure like anytime you decide to do so. You don't have to keep hanging on to stuff. And you cycle that energy down. I imagine, even when I'm running, I do this sometimes, or walking in nature, that I have this grid under my feet and I'm constantly just alchemizing. I think this is interesting, this is coming through too, because I feel like a lot of shadow Piscean, shadow Neptune portals. Because again, we're coming out of a lunar eclipse. Predominantly, the biggest energy of the eclipse was the lunar. That's why we keep saying it's predominant Piscean energy. Yes, a lot of Virgo things were at play. But the shadow of that energy can be very fucking disillusioned. I'm not even going to lie. Very disillusioned, which detaches you from your inner wisdom to really understand like a deeper meaning of why you had to experience something. This is the energy of, what was I going to say though? I was going to say something else. Oh, just, be mindful, shadow Piscean energy. And again, we're going to have Saturn continue in the retrograde in Pisces, and then Neptune will join. And Neptune and Aries, you can already see the heightened disillusion, very off kilter, religion at an all-time high. Just look around and see the peaks, okay? And then Neptune's going to join. Okay, so we still got to walk this energy out. This is why Spirit is holding our hand in Libra season, Ma'at, and the higher frequencies are holding our hands and saying, we got to walk this out. And you're going to be seeing a lot of shit. And you're going to be thinking, is this fair? You're missing the whole point. I remember I had a friend who used to be talking about fairs where you go to ride rides, girl. Life ain't a fair. Energy always writes itself though, so don't lose heart. Okay? Don't lose heart on that. This is it can just be a very disillusioned time for many. And this is why we are practicing swimming. This is why we practice clearing our waters. We're just hold my hand, friend, okay? Sometimes when you look and seek and need to be validated and need to have the fairness and the rightness and it's not to say that concepts of justice and fairness and rightness are bad. They're not. But you have to learn that you have to detach from that white knuckle fucking South Node Virgo loving light, that grip, and say, I ain't got a dog in the fight no more. You know what I'm saying? I hope you do you. I hope you can heal. I can. Now, to a certain degree, love and light, I need you to not be so disillusioned that you project like these spiritual idealisms on the people that can be very shadow Neptune and Aries. Even, damn, shadow Neptune and Pisces, okay? But I'm saying, for example, this energy would be like, my mother is very damaging and toxic in a validified way. I've went to therapy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just, on Karen's blog, Love and Light on the internet. Okay. My mother was a damaging narcissist. I accept that she was really damaged in her childhood. And I know that because of certain facts and things that I've confirmed. I forgive her. Now, I've realized it's 11:01, which is to me is like 1-1, portal in the middle, 1 on the end. You can go through that if you want to. You can release through that, 1101, right? If I observe her pattern of behaviors and see, unfortunately, that she's just not capable of healing, we could argue, is it her choice? Is it her mind? Is it her cognitive? You could really argue yourself in a circle, honey, but like at the end of the day, you ain't in another person, so you can't call it. What you can say, mother, father, relationship, job, friend group, etc., right? Maybe it's a whole area you live in, love and light. You just like, bitch, I gotta leave this state. And I feel you for that. I really do. But you understand the forgiveness in your heart. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I forgive my parents. They didn't get what they needed. And I know their past, and I know that they were abused. They were damaged. Deeply so. Deeply so. You know what I mean? I have compassion for them, that I know that cognitively, emotionally, maybe even arguably spiritually, they just can't get there. Or listen, let me go ahead and give you a whole nother perspective. Sometimes they don't want to. They don't want to. Because you know what? They're also white knuckle gripping. Love and light. But it doesn't mean, also, hear me out, if you know that someone is still practicing very abusive, manipulative, damaging behavioral patterns and they are hurting you, you don't have to justify that to anybody. You can get the fuck out of Dodge. You know what I mean? But how you reframe your perspective in your heart and your spirit, that's where you understand the meaning of your own experience. That's where you learn your truth. That's where you redirect the energy into a more optimistic and a less pessimistic view of your entire life. And you be like, damn, that's how you really cut the cord. I think the wisdom between that fourth dimensional top tier and shifting to the fifth dimensionality of really alchemizing love and light, right? And we're talking about our great teacher here, who sadly... many are not representatives. Of course, he, the spirit of Yeshua would tell you, I've never intended, you guys need to learn a lot about, a lot of that shit is lies, so much is hidden. There's a lot of fucked up black Saturnian rituals and dark inverted on black magic. Y'all don't tie me with that. That's what great teacher said. Okay, love you. He is in my spirit team for sure. I know him as Yeshua, but he would tell you, let that shit go. Okay. You got to choose to see it through a different lens, because if you keep living out these cycles and these tough energetics and the things that you're going to see, and mind you, a lot of it is so fake. You got to laugh. You have to laugh and say, I will not let it feed on me anymore. I really will not. I really will not. And then you need to choose your lens. You really got to change your glasses. That's what I'm feeling. I know you better put the flower of life grid up under your feet and wash yourself with the waters and say, I got to choose some different glasses. I got to ask better questions of myself. I got to get too attached of the validation of, they got what they deserve. Friend, you know it always happens. But if you're tethered to it, it's dragging you down. It's dragging you down. That's a message for someone, because sometimes it's really hard. Because you'll know, I see the new timeline unfolding in front of me. Did you make a plan? I made a great plan Did you cleanse? Did you yeah, I did all the things. I really did. You know what? I feel like Spirit has had me slingshotting ahead, and wow, I found myself in this portal, and I said, oh shit. And I did the things. But then at the end of the night, when it's quiet, a lot of times you sit with that feeling in the pit of your stomach. And if you don't choose to alchemize that, it will cord you to that forever. And that's not what we want, because we're not going to really shift up to the evolution of self like we could really have the potential to do, you know? And I want that for you. I want that for me and for all of us, because that's how we're going to bring in those timelines that we ache for so much. Yeah? Okay, let's read The Great Teacher together. Learn from spiritual experiences. Know that what is happening around you is divinely inspired. All of it. All of it. It so is. And I really am rooting for you that you would evolve in your perspective and wisdom and cognitive abilities, and fighting for a better version of yourself. You would learn to see it. I know, look, I want you to see it. Okay. So do your spiritual teachers. Learn from your current child. You can't make it up. What I'm trying to tell you, listen, learn from your current experiences, and then share them with others. It's like I'm going to sit here and talk to you. It might be easy for you to sit back and have a speculative seat and say, well, honey, I got some chapters. I got some chapters of throwing things in a car. I got some chapters of, look, we all have shadow. Okay, honey, listen, my South Node's in Scorpio. What that about to tell you? My moon's in Aquarius and my Mars is in... Child, listen, I'm just trying to tell you. We all have chapters. And I wish that I could say that mine were just like, nah, it's some deep, dark abuse. It's some dark stuff. And yet here I am. I'm so fortunate. I'm so blessed. I'm so full of gratitude that I could go through what I went through, so I can sit here and maybe tell you, because you sit in somewhere I already sat, and I'm going to say, don't stay there. Okay? Don't stay tethered to that, because you owe yourself something better. But you're not going to do it running around what you look like, trying to prove everybody. You're not. Let me finish reading. This card is inspired by many prophets and teachers who have brought great healing to the earth. Indeed. We still embody their frequency. You better believe they live in your DNA. I know you better get with me. Uranus and Gemini about to wake up some stuff in your DNA. Okay? There is a great teacher in every tradition, and this card represents the one whom you feel the closest, as well as a great teacher within. This is really, please don't miss it. This is about the great teacher. Hello, the Hermit, a Virgo ruled year, the embodiment, the walk your talk, the purity of the dove that lives within you. It comes down. Remember, we talked a lot about Chiron and the bridge, the higher chakras and the stellar gateway. This lives in you. You may identify this archetype through many means, but, there are some huge ones, obviously. The Buddha, Guan Yin, Yeshua. We could make a list probably of some that have been quite impressionable. And there's a manipulative storyline behind that that's very dark and inverted shadow. We know that too. The teacher wears simple clothes and is here to demonstrate that even if you live a simple life, it can be incredibly spiritual one. We talked about that in the Mabon channel message, talking about simplicity and stuff, didn't we? He is surrounded by a sense of serenity and harmony because he has absolute trust in the higher power that moves through him. And the dove on the card represents receiving answers to prayers through signs and experiencing peace through joy. Get with me, family, too, on the fact that you don't just be praying in a traditional way. Prayers are many different things. Many different things. I do personally see like meditation serves a different purpose than prayers, but prayers happen in rituals. Prayers is like offerings and rituals and stuff. It's that intercessory moment where you connect with the oneness of all that is the universe through the humanness in yourself, and you do big work there. Okay, so do me a favor and try your best to evolve, and don't get triggered by certain words here. See it from that wise place. Okay. This card can represent a teacher in your life or the great teacher from within. Either way, it shows you that you've dedicated a lot of time and effort and energy to understanding yourself and the world. It's so Jupiter in Cancer, y'all. I'm sorry. You are having spiritual experiences at this time. And I'm hearing something like, don't let things steal that from you, because that's the name of the game. Oh no, what if they all stop looking at our shenanigans and just keep lighting candles on their altars? Oh no, what if they fuck around and get real united in celebrating what it is that they want to birth? Oh no, what if they start forgiving each other en masse? Oh no, it's giving like all the ants coming together. I'm seeing Ant-Man, how the ants understood what the fuck was going on and they were on the quantum and nobody could even grasp how powerful that was, that they were all in the quantum realms together and they didn't even care about the other shit. You know, they were just doing their ant shit and they were all very powerful. They didn't care that nobody knew how intelligent they were. You get what I'm saying here? The way that things are in a quantum nature, because we have not evolved to a certain way of seeing them right in front of us, which you would not, though. Because third dimensionality, even fourth dimensionality, even though there's a bleed through in fourth dimensionality, because the power that people have attached to certain beliefs in that realm, quantum is not made to be seen in such a way. You can choose to work on vibrational frequencies and spiritual disciplines and honing certain different senses that really have not, Spirit is saying, come to the forefront yet in the human experience, because we haven't been ready in our point in evolution. But that doesn't mean it's not happening like that. You know what I mean? It's 11:11 on the clock. You are having spiritual experience at this time and gaining a greater awareness of what you need to do in order to grow. There is a great chance that if you have been having any challenges recently, you've surmounted them. Absolutely. Claim that. Okay? And allow them to be vehicles to lessons that are helping your spiritual connection. Because here's what I see. It's like when you go through a spiritual alchemizing experience, through pain, through suffering, through shame, guilt, through a very challenging obstacle, okay? And then you run tell. I'm hearing run and tell that, okay? You're taking your gold. Okay, I'm seeing don't cast pearls before swine. I think our teacher said that, didn't he? Why are you going to take all those pearls and then throw them back to the swine that put you in the dirt where you developed the pearls? Or so, you know what I mean? That would be like the lotus going back. Okay, you get what I'm saying? That's what happens when you run back and be like, I'll show them. Why? Friend, love and light. Why the fuck? Why do you want to take your pearls back to the swine? This is what I'm getting. And I'm telling you this, it's not a place of judgment. It's a place of, because I did it enough times to get up on the alchemy to come back and then to tell you, save your pearls. Save them. You know what I'm saying? Let's read it again. There is a great chance that if you have been through challenges recently, and get with me on this, this goes for challenges as a nation, challenges as a human collective, challenges within your soul tribe and spiritual family. Yes, the same principle resounds throughout different dimensionalities. If we have been challenged greatly recently, it's because we're surmounting these challenges, and we will allow them, if we choose, to be vehicles to lessons that will help your spiritual connection, humanity's spiritual connection, your community's spiritual connection. You feel what I'm saying? If you feel that you've received messages from heaven, or, you know what I mean? That's just one term. There are many, obviously. If you feel that you've received spiritual messages, let us say, from heaven or the universe, right? This card is confirmation that these have indeed been holy experiences. Yes. Child. How have we been talking 57 minutes? I don't even know. Time is just so different to me now. It really is. So because Jupiter in Cancer is coming through so strong, maybe something happened in your life with, that's just going to bother me. That image. Maybe something happened in your life where it's like when Jupiter was in Gemini and shifted into Cancer, it was maybe you go back to that time point. Also, check out your Jupiter placement for deeper understanding. I would also partner that with reading about your... Thank you so much, Spirit. Thank you. Thank you. I would read about that too. And again, email me. My Facebook business page is very active. Message me there. I do try to respond, even though people be creepy. You get a block and delete real fast, too. We don't play. But yeah, let's read, because this sure did pop out right quick, didn't it? Mountain cabin. There are times when solitude can be healing and enlightening. Look at that. 7 plus 2 equals 9. Still in that 9 energy, okay? Because we're walking out all the way to the end of September, friends. The 9th month and the 9th year, ain't it? Child, how many days we got? Y'all, I don't even know what the date is. What is the date? I don't know. I don't even know. Why do I feel the need to know now? What is the date? My computer screen in with 9/23. Sorry, I was adding up the numerology in my head. Anyway, look. Let's read about mountain cabin together. Solitude energy coming through. You need to spend time away from certain things, away from certain people. Shout out to my fire sign. Shout out to certain energy. And I know for some, it's harder for others to be alone. You know, some people, we have different energetic needs, but I think it's good for everyone to try to observe that to a certain degree right now. We've been talking about that all year long, though. Okay. All right. 102. Mountain cabin, keywords, disconnecting, solitude, hermiting. It's giving very like platforms, social media, you know, when you're not working and you don't have to be tethered to your electronics, or you just go be out and be away from it all, right? What were we talking about in the Maven portal and channeling that message yesterday that I uploaded? It was like it needed to slow down and be quiet. It's exactly what we were tapped into. Your higher self chose this card because there are too many things influencing your life. Sometimes, and some time to yourself to listen to your inner spirit is exactly what you need. Most friends and family do have the best intentions when they offer their advice, but they can only speak from experience and do not have a full understanding of your life story. Even those closest, I really do believe too, a lot of people that are called to me and attracted and are a part of my soul tribe and family, right? We done been through some shit, and it's just like you couldn't relate to it because you've never experienced it. And sometimes you have, that's the upside of Pluto and Aquarius and redistribution of energy and finding different parts of your soul family and tribe. And sometimes that happens in 3D, brick and mortar community and connection. But as we reshuffle ourselves and resettle, we hope that we will be able to do that more. But a period of displacement is only natural in a time like this. And I'm thankful that we can find each other here, because sometimes you need someone who's in your tribe and your family and your gang to be like, I totally understand because I've been there too. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But some people can't speak to you like that. And then you try to fit yourself in a box of their frequential in their boxes. Spirit show me the frequency fences again, and then you hurt yourself because that's not where you belong. You know what I'm saying? Even those closest to you, even a sibling, a parent, or a best friend, they don't know everything about you. They don't know why you've made certain choices. They don't know the goals you daydream about. Your soul, hello, North Node in Pisces, is guiding you through this card to disconnect from the world so you can find the best pathway forward without the pollution of other people's opinions. That's so hard because the name of the game today is distract, distract, distract. Isn't it? Yeah. It's much easier to find confidence in yourself without the questions, the doubt, the concerns, the criticism you're likely facing from those in your life. Take a solo vacation. This is excellent if it's available to you, but sometimes, you know, like it says here, you just find a quiet corner to yourself. You journal. You keep your plans to yourself. We have this teaching in witchcraft, and even in any energetic work, is to know when to be silent. Try it out, friend. I know you might shock yourself. Okay. Keep your plans under wraps. All of these are excellent ways to experience solitude. So you need some time alone. You need to journal. You know, sometimes this looks like just going to a different spot for lunch on your lunch break. Sometimes this looks like, you know what? This makes me think about how Uranus is going to go back into Taurus to kind of really solidify some things. Now I'm really called to, though, when is that, Spirit? Because then when Uranus comes back into Gemini, it's going to be like, all right, we got some new tables. Okay. We're moving and shaking. Like, who do we want to talk to? What are we learning now? And then Uranus won't be back in Taurus for a long ass time. Okay. You know, Uranus is going to be in Gemini until like 2033, child. There's a lot of things maybe going on. Woo, hold on. Okay. Listen though, hold on. I'm trying to find, when is Uranus? It's in November, guys. This seems important too. Okay. Yeah, so Uranus will go back into Taurus on November the 7th. But for how long, Spirit? I love you so much. Shout out, gang, gang, ride or die crew. If you are still here and you've been here all the way to the end, I love you so much. Oh, shit. Okay. No, my bad. Is that right? Hold on. Well, child, can we just get a date, love and light? Okay. I've been trying to type one-handed, though, and I don't want to keep... Okay. Let's type Uranus and Taurus. Let's try that. Oops. Hold on, y'all. Try, okay. It really bugs me. Oh, well. You know what? Uranus will go back into Taurus on November the 7th. And we'll figure out. Maybe it's just not for us to be tapped in and channeling that right now. Oh, yo, I found it. November the 7th until April 23rd. Okay, so from November to April. So that's interesting to note. But anyway, you guys, listen. I love you. I wanted to tap in, check in with you, pull some cards, give you some encouragement. Hopefully it's always helpful and brings you clarity and emotional support. Okay, I love you. Take good care this week. Stay grounded out there, okay? I'll talk to you soon, guys. Bye.